new evidence of Noah's Ark. Researchers say they have 3D images of what they believe.
The actual bolt from Noah's Ark has reportedly been discovered, sparking renewed excitement among researchers. This remarkable find came from Durupinar, a site in eastern Turkey believed by some to be the resting place of the Ark. Along with this bolt, ancient sea fossils and clay materials have been uncovered, further supporting the theory that this area was once submerged in water. Could this evidence truly point to the long-lost Ark? Let's dive into the latest findings that will provoke an imminent war against religions across the world. Huge mound matches ancient stories. The size of this mound matches up with descriptions from religious stories, making some people believe this could really be the Ark's resting place. According to the book of Genesis in the Bible, the Ark was 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high, which is about 510 feet long. The Durupinar site measures about 538 feet in length. While some argue it's just a natural formation, others feel the shape and nearby signs suggest people were involved. Before we dive deeper into this discovery, there's something even more startling about the Durupinar site that could rewrite history, and it's not the only detail that will leave you in awe. Scientists have even dated the site back to between 5,500 and 3,000 BC, lining up with the time of Noah's flood mentioned in the Bible. These findings came from soil samples tested by teams from Turkish and American colleges. The tests showed hints of ancient human presence, adding weight to the idea that something big happened there long ago. Researchers believe more thorough investigations are needed to prove if this was truly the Ark. Throughout the past century, several adventurers claimed that they found parts of the Ark. For instance, in the early 1900s, a British politician named James Bryce believed he discovered wooden pieces from the Ark. There have been similar claims since, but none confirmed. Still, the possibility keeps researchers and history buffs excited. The tale of Noah's Ark appears not just in Christianity, but also in Judaism and Islam, with each tradition offering its own version of the flood story. This has kept the Ark story alive across cultures, with more expeditions heading to Mount Ararat and nearby areas, hoping to finally find clear evidence. While Durupinar is a key focus, Mount Ararat itself has been the center of many searches. Some argue the mountain formed after the flood, making it an unlikely location, while others feel it fits the biblical narrative. Thanks to modern tech like three-dimensional scanning, researchers now can explore these areas more deeply, uncovering new details about the landscape. Over the years, many theories have emerged about the fate of Noah's Ark. Some suggest that it might be buried under thick layers of earth, hidden from sight after countless centuries. Others propose that the Ark has slowly decayed over time, its wooden structure succumbing to the natural elements. A number of historians speculate that if the Ark did indeed exist, the survivors of the biblical flood might have repurposed its materials for constructing shelters or making other vital items. This recycling of the Ark's materials could be why no significant remnants have been unearthed to date. While some experts remain skeptical of these theories, refusing to accept them without concrete evidence, there remains a group of enthusiastic researchers and scholars who hold on to the belief that something historically significant occurred at the site, even if it might not align perfectly with the events as described in the scriptures. The discovery of a strange bolt at the excavation site has further piqued the interest of many. Some researchers interpret this find as evidence of sophisticated construction techniques, possibly used in the building of the Ark itself. However, there are others who contend that the bolt might simply be a relic from a more modern era, accidentally incorporated into the site over time. The true origins of this bolt are still under investigation, casting an intriguing shadow over the continuous research and explorations. As the search progresses, researchers are employing advanced technologies and innovative methods to probe deeper into the Durupinar site and other locations rumored to house the remains of the Ark. The use of ground-penetrating radar, satellite imagery, and even drones has transformed the way explorations are conducted, allowing for more precise and less intrusive examinations of these ancient sites. These modern tools have not only facilitated a better understanding of the geological formations, but also helped in identifying potential areas of interest that might have been overlooked in the past. The ongoing quest for Noah's Ark remains a topic of great interest and debate. Each new piece of evidence, whether it supports the existence of the Ark or not, fuels further discussions and research. The appeal of uncovering a tangible piece of one of the oldest narratives in human history drives both professional archaeologists and amateur enthusiasts to continue their searches. The potential discovery of the Ark would not only be a monumental archaeological breakthrough, but also a profound confirmation of a story shared across several cultures and religions. Now, as we learn more about Noah's Ark, we'll see how it compares to other old stories, bringing new thoughts about what could be true. The Ark that saved life. The tale of Noah's Ark from the Bible is widely recognized and deeply rooted in religious belief and historical lore. In the book of Genesis, Noah is told by God to construct a huge vessel to save his family and various animal species from a massive flood intended to reset the moral compass of humanity by removing widespread wickedness from the earth. The Bible details the ark as an enormous wooden construction. Translating the biblical measurements, the ark would have been around 450 feet long, showcasing an impressive size for any structure of that era. It was built with 3 decks and included a window or vent near the top for air. The materials used were described as gopher wood, a term that confuses scholars since it's not mentioned anywhere else in ancient literature. It's speculated this could refer to a type of dense, waterproof wood, or perhaps a form of reeds. Noah's story echoes across various cultures. For instance, the ancient Mesopotamian epic of Gilgamesh recounts the tale of Utnapishtim, who builds a boat under divine instruction to survive a great flood. Both stories involve sealing the vessel with tar, releasing birds to find land, and saving numerous lives, suggesting that the story of Noah might have drawn from these older Mesopotamian legends. The debate over the historical reality of a worldwide flood as described in the Bible has been ongoing among archaeologists and scholars. Some think the narrative could be anchored in real events, like a significant regional flood in the Middle East or around the Black Sea, which around 7,500 years ago experienced a sudden flood that might have inspired these legends. However, direct evidence linking these events to the biblical story is still lacking. Through the centuries, countless explorers have tried to find Noah's Ark, with Mount Ararat in today's Turkey being the most popular suspected location. Despite numerous expeditions and high-tech searches, no undisputed proof has been found. The harsh environmental conditions at such altitudes make it likely that any wooden structure would have deteriorated long ago, although some hold out hope that remains may be preserved under ice or volcanic debris. The search isn't confined to Mount Ararat. Other peaks like Mount Kuti and Mount Sabalon are mentioned in different texts and local stories as potential resting places for the Ark, each backed by their own sets of legends and historical texts. The feasibility of constructing and maintaining such a colossal ark has also been widely debated. The logistics of housing various animal species, alongside necessary food supplies and waste management systems for an extended period, pose significant challenges. These logistical issues lead some to view the Ark narrative as symbolic, aimed more at teaching moral lessons than documenting historical events. Despite these logistical doubts, the story of Noah's Ark continues to captivate and inspire discussions about faith, obedience, and survival. It symbolizes more than a historical event. For many, it represents a profound example of redemption and divine care. Additionally, modern interpretations have likened the Ark to a primitive form of biobank or gene vault, preserving life through a cataclysmic event, drawing parallels with contemporary conservation efforts and discussions about humanity's role in preserving life. Speculations about the geological effects of such a biblical flood involve scenarios of vast underground water reservoirs released by tectonic shifts, although these remain scientific speculations without concrete evidence. These discussions underline the enduring fascination with the Ark's story, captivating both believers and skeptics alike. Whether taken as a literal historical account or a symbolic narrative, Noah's Ark remains a potent story. It serves as a reminder of human vulnerability against nature's might and the possibility of divine guidance. The ongoing debate around its historical truth, potential locations, and the flood's scientific feasibility ensures the Ark's story remains relevant. But this isn't the only story from long ago that people still talk about. Let's look at other important tales that shape belief. Tales of faith and power. Many well-known tales from the Bible underscore the actions of people and the guiding hand of a higher power. These stories provide lessons on belief, bravery, and reliance on divine support. One of the first major narratives is about Adam and Eve from the book of Genesis. This tale introduces the creation of the initial man and woman who lived in the Garden of Eden. They had one simple rule to follow: avoid eating from the tree that gave knowledge of good and evil. Despite this, Eve was persuaded by a serpent to eat the fruit, and she then shared it with Adam, leading to significant consequences for humanity. Their choice resulted in being expelled from paradise, exploring themes like temptation and the loss of purity. Another prominent tale is the Exodus, which depicts Moses leading the Israelites from captivity in Egypt to freedom. Born during a harsh era of enslavement, Moses was initially placed in the river to be saved and was eventually raised within the Pharaoh's palace. After fleeing and returning to Egypt, he encountered God in a burning bush and was tasked with freeing his people. His confrontations with Pharaoh led to 10 devastating plagues, the last of which convinced Pharaoh to let the Israelites go. Their escape involved crossing the Red Sea, which parted when Moses raised his staff and closed back on the pursuing Egyptian forces. This narrative highlights divine might and the need for trust in seemingly insurmountable situations. The book of Judges shares the story of Gideon, chosen by God to overcome the Midianites, the oppressors of Israel. Initially reluctant, Gideon required multiple signs before he acted. Though he started with a large army, God told him to reduce his numbers to just 300 men. With such a small force, they achieved a surprising victory, illustrating that success depends on divine guidance rather than human strength. The story of David and Goliath remains deeply embedded in biblical lore. David, a young shepherd, stepped forward to face Goliath, a giant and fearsome warrior from the Philistine camp who had been taunting the Israelite troops. Using only a sling and a stone, David struck Goliath in the forehead and defeated him, which paved the way for David's rise to kingship. This event emphasizes the power of faith and bravery against overwhelming challenges. In the book of Ruth, the narrative of Ruth and Boaz unfolds. Ruth, a Moabite widow, chose to stay with her mother-in-law Naomi after her husband's death. She went with Naomi back to Israel and toiled in the fields for their sustenance. Boaz, a prosperous relative of Naomi, took notice of Ruth. Through a series of events, he married her, and she became part of the lineage that led to King David and eventually to Jesus. Ruth's tale is one of dedication, kindness, and the unfolding of divine plans. Then, Jonah and the whale tells of Jonah, a prophet instructed to preach to Nineveh, a city notorious for its wickedness. Jonah initially ran away, taking a ship in the opposite direction. Caught in a severe storm, he admitted his disobedience and was thrown into the sea, where a giant fish swallowed him. After 3 days and nights, the fish released him, and Jonah completed his divine mission in Nineveh. His experience underscores the significance of following divine commands. Daniel in the lion's den. Imagine a man named Daniel who was really dedicated to his beliefs. He lived in a place called Babylon and was very faithful to God. The king at the time made a strict rule that no one could worship or pray to anyone except him. But Daniel didn't follow this rule because he believed only in praying to God. Because of this, the king ordered that Daniel be thrown into a den filled with lions. Normally, lions would harm a person in their den, but something incredible happened. God stepped in and kept the lions calm, so Daniel was safe and unharmed throughout the night. The king was amazed to see Daniel alive the next morning, realizing Daniel's faith was powerful, showing everyone around that having trust and faith could lead to miraculous protection. With these stories in mind, the birth of one of history's most important figures brings even more amazing events. The birth that changed the world, the birth of Jesus Christ. This story is about the origins of Jesus Christ and begins with his mother Mary. One day, an angel visited her and told her she would have a son, and he would be the Son of God. Mary was engaged to a man named Joseph, who was unsure about this at first. However, he too received a message from above, reassuring him. When Jesus was born, it wasn't in a fancy hospital or even at home. He was born in a very simple setting, a stable in Bethlehem. Despite these humble beginnings, Jesus' birth is celebrated worldwide as Christmas, marking the arrival of someone very special who would grow up to be a leader and a savior for many people. Feeding of the 5,000, this is one of the many miracles that Jesus performed and shows his compassion. Jesus was speaking to a very large crowd of about 5,000 men, not counting women and children, who had come to hear him. As the day went on, everyone started to get hungry. All they had was a small amount of food, 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish brought by a young boy. Jesus took this small meal, gave thanks, and then started to distribute it among the people. Miraculously, the food multiplied as it was passed around, enough to feed everyone there and still have leftovers. This event is often referred to show how Jesus cared for people's needs and had the power to provide more than what was humanly possible. Elijah and the prophets of Baal. This story from the Old Testament highlights the showdown between the prophet Elijah and the followers of Baal, a popular deity during the reign of King Ahab and Queen Jezebel. Elijah challenged them to a contest to prove whose God was real. The prophets of Baal tried to call fire from the sky to burn their offering, but nothing happened. Then it was Elijah's turn. He prayed to God, and fire came down from heaven, consuming his offering and proving that his God was the true God. This event reinforced the importance of staying true to one's faith and demonstrated the power of the one true God. Queen Esther. Esther was a Jewish woman who became a queen in Persia. She discovered a plot to destroy all the Jewish people in the empire. Bravely, she decided to go to the king without being summoned, which could have led to her death. Esther spoke to the king and revealed the plot, saving her people. Her story shows the impact of courage and speaking out at the right time can have, especially when it's risky. Jesus walking on water. One evening after a long day of teaching and healing, Jesus sent his disciples ahead in a boat to cross the Sea of Galilee. Once they were far from shore, Jesus did something completely astonishing. He walked across the surface of the water to meet them. Imagine the surprise and fear that gripped the disciples when they saw a figure approaching them over the waves. They couldn't believe their eyes and thought they were seeing a ghost. The water was dark and the winds were strong, adding to their fear. But Jesus called out to them, calming their fears by saying it was him and there was no reason to be scared. Among the disciples was Peter, known for his quick responses and bold actions. He called out to Jesus, asking if he too could try walking on the water. Jesus simply said, "Come." Driven by a mix of faith and curiosity, Peter stepped out of the boat and onto the choppy sea. For a few moments, Peter was actually walking on water, a miraculous feat fueled by his trust in Jesus. However, as he noticed the strong wind and the waves, his courage faltered and fear took over. This remarkable event is one of many that underline not just the miraculous power of Jesus, but also the personal connection he had with his followers. It shows us the possibility of achieving the unthinkable when we keep our focus on faith and trust in higher powers. Even when fear tries to overwhelm us, the story serves as a powerful reminder that fear can diminish our capabilities and faith can expand them. It also illustrates the gentle yet firm way Jesus taught his lessons of trust, courage, and the presence of divine support in our lives. Could this bolt really be from Noah's Ark, or is it just another coincidence fueling the legend? Tell us your thoughts and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.